Story 1. My roommate listens to them every day and will listen to this one when it is uploaded. He goes by his first initial, so I'll say hi to T. If you hear this, it's your turn to take out the trash. Story 2. I had no idea this was a thing until I received a private message from someone who had seen a post I made on one of those videos and asked if I knew about it. I was a bit nonplussed, but it is not as if Reddit is a private forum. Story 3. They have slowly downgraded in question quality to asking about a not safe for work accident involving sexual activity. Story 4. I like Reddit aliens. He sounds like a real person and normally covers out their topics. Story 5. Some of them are good and get nice reactions, but mostly they are stupid. However, many people do not use Reddit, and maybe that brings them to us. Story 6. Sorrow Television does it pretty well, in my opinion. The others with just text-to-speech voices are a different story. Story 7. Text-to-speech systems are annoying. Humans who spend a couple of hours making quality content are good, though. Story 8. I found out about them because my most upvoted comment ever made it onto one. The person messaged me and sent a link. I guess it is kind of neat. It is not my kind of content, but its existence does not bother me. Story 9. I have a reading disorder, so audio versions help with that. I can put them on in the background while I play a video game. I prefer the text-to-speech versions because human readers add unnecessary flair. I am just after the content of the Reddit post. I also dislike how much money is made from them for so little effort. Story 10. It is the same as taking screenshots of tweets and posting them here. Story 11. I found out about Reddit from those videos. I dislike the automatic text-to-speech voice. Story 12. A YouTuber whose videos cover one topic at a time actually got me to check out Reddit recently, so I am perfectly fine with them. Story 13. I listen to them when I am driving with the screen off. I work a regular job, run a small business on the side, and I am working on my bachelor's degree. I do not have time to be on Reddit unless I am using the restroom. For those asking how it went, I appreciate the concern. It was fairly easy. No splashing, no overstretching, and I did not even have to push. Overall, 7 out of 10. Story 14. They are actually the reason I decided to use Reddit. At first I thought there was a lot of quality content in the videos, but they became cookie-cutter and boring, so I went to the source. I had known about Reddit for a long time but had never tried it. Story 15. A few are great. Shout out to the Soot House subreddit, Sorrow TV, and Marshall Does Stuff. Their appeal depends less on the posts and more on the jokes that arise from them. The channels that just read the posts or worse, the text-to-speech are not worth my time. Story 16. I mentioned this on a similar thread. It feels strange because many of my comments are used without my knowledge. In the past, people asked permission to feature my comment on their YouTube channel. For example, Top15S, which has almost 3.5 million subscribers, asked and later sent a link so I could check how they used my comment. Those channels usually make an effort with stock video, animation, and a good voice to read the comments. Now people just rip threads and use text-to-speech to read the top comments with no effort. I do not like that. If you are going to take other people's comments without permission, at least show some effort. Instagram meme pages have been doing this for years, and many people make a living because it is easy. What is worse is that some people use bots or alternative accounts to message you afterwards saying something like, "Hey, check it out, you are in this video, totally awesome," to make it seem like a random Reddit user reached out. I received the same message 4 times from different accounts linking to the same YouTube channel they were trying to grow. I took a screenshot the last time this happened. To be fair, the person said they would delete the video if asked, but I do not trust that, especially since they were using 2 throwaway accounts. Story 17. The human ones are what got me back on Reddit. I was laughing out loud. However, text-to-speech posts are very annoying, and I tend to ignore them. Story 18. I literally joined Reddit because those stories interested me. Story 19. I enjoy r/videos because many cover subreddits I don't frequent. The text-to-speech ones, however, really bother me. If they could not be bothered to read them themselves, it is a blatant cash grab. Story 20. I don't really mind it until the end, when the voice usually says you have been visited by blank. Like and subscribe for blank. Story 21. Videos that use text-to-speech are annoying, and the people who upload them seem lazy. By contrast, creators who read Reddit posts and comments with a real voice are much nicer. I like to do other things while I listen. Of those who use a real voice, I like MK from the MK subreddit and Ozmedia. Story 22. It is lazy, low-quality content. Exactly what people love on YouTube. Story 23. I really hate them. They take someone else's work or post, lazily add text-to-speech, and then it goes viral and they make money. They get paid for doing almost nothing. They are not content creators. They are content thieves. Story 24. I like them because I am much more of an auditory person than a visual one. I absorb information at a much better rate by listening than by reading. That does not mean I cannot read. These days I try to read the AskReddit subreddit more than watch videos. As reading is still a hobby I enjoy, I occasionally use videos to listen to while gaming or doing chores. Story 25. Long story short, fuck them. It is oversaturated, low-effort content. At least use your own voice and add something to the discussion. Nobody wants a faceless robot reading random articles. It adds nothing of value. I could produce a 1-hour video like that in less time. It is just dumb. They are like old reaction videos but with even less reaction. The channels that at least use their own voices like Sorrow Television and Soot House are pretty funny, but the thousands of generic ones ruin a genre with decent potential. Story 26. So much wasted creative energy. Too bad these people will never rise to their true potential. Just another batch of coattail riders. Dilettante wannabes are devoid of substance. Story 27. My kids recognized the story of how I met their mother when a channel read my post aloud. It was surreal to hear my children who do not use Reddit recognize it on the living room television. Story 28. I thought people reacting to things like trailers or songs were the lowest common denominator of YouTube content, but this takes the cake. Story 29. How is this any different from screenshots of tweets posted to Reddit with no titles? Story 30. I cannot listen to the text-to-speech versions. They are like nails on a chalkboard. I enjoy listening to the humans who read them. The people I watch ask the original posters for permission before using their stories and comments. Story 31. I am fine with them because they brought me here. They are a great way to waste time, and I discovered quite a few subreddits because of those videos. I have even appeared in one. I see no harm, really. Story 32. I like to watch them to help me fall asleep. Some of them are pretty interesting. I do not mind the text-to-speech voice. Story 33. They are lazy, low-effort attempts at YouTube stardom, but they summarize many posts and comment threads on Reddit that I missed or did not read myself. They also reflect Reddit's reposting culture. Overall, I do not mind much. Story 34. I prefer actual human voices to robotic ones. I bet YouTube creators who only upload those kinds of videos will be upset when they see this post. Story 35. I hate them. They use absolutely no discretion and only want to make money. One channel took comments from a post called, "What was the most hurtful thing someone has ever said to you?" Which is not something to make money from. They used my comment about one of the most traumatic moments in my life without any consideration and are now profiting from it. I did not even know they had done this until I started receiving a bunch of private messages on Reddit about the comment I had made months earlier. When I asked people why they were messaging me, they directed me to the video. I asked the creator to remove the clip because I did not want it public without my consent. He refused, laughed, said he enjoyed making money off me, and pointed me to a Reddit page claiming comments belonged to Reddit once posted, not to the author. Now I cannot delete it. I still get comments from people pretending to comfort me while prying into my life. I have even received a few really creepy private messages from men saying things like, "I'll make you feel better, baby," which is even more traumatic and disturbing. I hate those YouTube channels. I hope they rot. Story 36. I like them. I've even been in one. What I do not like are the ones that use a robot voice. If a robot is just reading a Reddit post, I could open the thread myself and let Google have a shot. But when a human reads it in a fitting voice with a short reaction between stories, I will watch occasionally. I put my phone in a clear Ziploc bag, hang it on my shower curtain rod, and run one of those videos to have something to listen to while I shower. My showers take 10 to 30 minutes, so I might as well listen to something. The only annoying thing is trying to squint at the screen and tap through the bag to skip the ads. I am very nearsighted and the bag fogs up or gets water droplets on it, so it is hard to see and hard to hit the screen without my glasses. Another annoyance is that I like to read the subreddits I listen to, so I sometimes get duplicate stories. Skipping them in the shower is also hard. Too long. Did not read. Text-to-speech can go away, but a human reading it aloud can be entertaining. Story 37. I am morally opposed to anyone earning money for content they neither created nor have permission to repackage and sell. It is like justifying shoplifting because you are only stealing penny candy, even though you are doing it by the handful several times a week. I am more upset by the narcissistic disregard it shows than by the monetary factors. Anyone doing it can only do so by lying to themselves that it is not a big deal and not important. The only person allowed to make that decision is the one infringed upon, no matter how many others cannot be bothered to care. Yes, content rights are signed away all the time in terms of service or user rights agreements, but note the key word here: agreements. Your rights do not vanish in a puff of smoke just because you are walking around in public. No one can grab a scrap of paper out of your hand because they think you are going to throw it away. Auto repair shops are required to honor your request to return broken parts, or it is outright stealing. Imagine you are a beginning, struggling sketch artist who joins a casual, open membership critique group. You know anyone could show up, but you have a very specific idea of who is actually there, and it is one of the strongest factors that determines what you share. Say someone asks you a question, and you create a quick sketch in about 5 minutes. Maybe you surprise yourself with the subtlety, or maybe you do not. Maybe it is a portrait of a long-lost friend and you capture a facial expression you had forgotten, or maybe you do not. Maybe you have poured a deeper part of yourself into it than expected, or maybe you have not. Since the sketch was a response to a question, you hand it over. Now the questioner asks to borrow the sketch until the next meeting so they can study your answer. You are hesitant, or maybe not, but it seems like no big deal, so you give no indication of any hang-ups about lending it for a week. Now imagine you forget about the sketch and do not realize it is never returned. Perhaps it was the first sketch in which you mastered a particular subtlety, and it captures the essence of your view of a technique. If you had not lost it, you might have hung it on the wall as a sincere distillation of a facet of the human condition. Years later, you find out the questioner has found a way to market and sell amateur art as sincere, real, and from a place of unrefined passion. He is a citywide curator and ekes out a living finding and making prints of sketchbook-quality doodles that just so happen to transcend the original artist's typical skill level. You read an article about him in the news. At the top is a large photo of him standing by his fireplace, with your sketch hanging over the mantel. In the article, he says your sketch was one of his earliest acquisitions and even states your name, though it is a very common name that does not do much to distinguish who you are. He tells the interviewer that your sketch is one of his most popular, selling dozens of prints a month. He frames the story so readers will assume you gifted him the sketch because he convinced himself the handover was casual and vague. You never imagined casual, vague handovers required written contracts, especially since the borrower stated categorically they would return the item in 1 week. His vague language about the provenance of his acquisitions allows him to convince customers that vague handovers are as good as a contract. Several artists have come forward and said that while they had intended the works to be on loan, the unauthorized change of ownership is no big deal, now that they consider it after the fact. Now imagine that a recent tragedy in your life means seeing that sketch in the newspaper rekindles memories you had long forgotten, and you weep for hours at how well the sketch captures exactly how you feel. Or maybe no tragedy has occurred and you do not weep, but you remember the sketch and that he said he was only going to borrow it for a week. Or perhaps you do not remember the sketch even after reading the article and skimming past your name. One thing is certain, you never would have tried to make money off it. Sharing is one thing, commercialization is something else entirely. No one else gets to decide why you shared it and then assume they are unerringly correct about your intentions or valuations. The amount that sketch influences your life, even after you forget it exists, has no bearing on the situation. Public square communication has always been made without expectation of privacy, but no one assumes their personal life stories will be printed on t-shirts, posters, and coffee mugs. Indeed, it is illegal, and the perpetrators, benefactors, and a small sample of unbothered victims are the exact group of people least justified in deeming the theft no big deal. Story 38. I watch them. I like listening to the synthesized voice-read texts, and I have occasionally seen my stories narrated on those sites. Story 39. I do not really care about them, but I am always happy when I see one of my own posts. Story 40. I enjoy those that focus on questions from years ago that I will likely never find. They are usually quite entertaining. Story 41. I have had a question stolen from the AskReddit subreddit for this purpose before. I thought it was kind of flattering that someone cared enough about something I said to steal it, but they were still lazy losers. Story 42. I do not mind them because they curate the best content, so I do not have to look for it. Story 43. I am almost certain this thread will be on one or more of these channels. So, hello. Story 44. I am fine with it. They brought me to Reddit, so I cannot hate them. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.